So what we're going to be doing today is a step-by-step about how to do the fan module in a Promaster. They're all the same. I assume the 22s and 23s are the same. Pretty straightforward. Fan module, common failure. The way to diagnose this is you'll reach in when it's not running and wiggle each fan blade. The loose one is the one that's causing all the noise. Kind of sounds like an airplane landing, but that looseness on the bearing shaft draws more current, which blows the resistor and may blow the fuses. That's the usual path for the fan module. In years past, we would get about 1.5 to 2 years out of a fan module, which is like 150,000 miles worth of driving. But the fans don't really spin when you're at highway speed, so it's kind of... And I've noticed in recent years that they're much more durable, so we're going to find out. Regardless, this van is old and needs a fan module, and I'll even show you why it needs a fan module when I get in there. There we go. I'm working towards getting a head-mounted GoPro, which would make this better. I'm just going to have to do it with a tripod, and this ain't rocket science. The tips you'll need, you'll see as we go, how to get the thing out of there. It ain't that complicated. All right, let's get on it. Okay, there's a couple different ways to do this. You can tackle the fan module from the top, where it would slide out of the top, or you can get the van up and take it out from the bottom. I have found, for me, top is easier, but it's equal hassle. Because what you're going to need to do is remove this primary cross member and the grill, which will give you beautiful access to all the stuff here. Okay, fresh battery, look at that, and a T30 on a stick. This T30 does a lot of work in this van, let me tell you. Also, good idea, good practice is a magnetic parts tray. Because I don't want to chase any more than you do. Normally I would say loosen these by hand and then use the power tool to get them out. But having had been in this particular van before somewhat recently, last year, I know that all these are going to pretty much just come. And I see that possibly my work was the zip ties holding the rest of the grill in place. Very common, non-rocket science. Look at that. I'll even aim it so you can see what the hell I'm doing. You can look at my fat ass while I do it. T30. I'm not a big fan of the Torx or Torex as it's called, because when they corrode and otherwise fuck up, they're corroded and fucked up in a way that a bolt wouldn't be. But it is what it is. If I just stop here, one in the center. I should also mention that it is not, you don't need to be religious about getting all these back in when you go put it back together. The grill isn't going to fall off or otherwise do anything weird. I'm going to go ahead and take it all the way out. You could tip this forward, but because we're making a video and because why? I don't be holding the tool in my hand. Why would I want to make it more difficult for myself? One in the center here as well. What did we do before power tools? Like some kind of Neanderthal. You'd be doing those all by hand. Progress, bitches. Progress. The two that are holding it at the bottom, I don't know if you can see here. As you can see, this whole piece is loose. There's two at the bottom, which they may be bolts or they may be Torx. Either way, I'm going to go do them while you talk amongst yourselves. All right, on this van, they were neither. They were zip ties. That appears to be that's the way we're running, which is fine. No shame in it. Zip ties are actually a badge of honor. Okay, so what you're left with here is here. I'm going to be taking, well, you can watch me do it. The rest of getting this out will be 10s. Two here, and these I believe are 13s. We're going to find out. I have all my tools handy. Actually, I'll show you what I do with tools. We'll come back to that one. And that one. It's a 13 or 14? It's a 13. These two, can you see them here? This is a support that steadies the top of the radiator and steadies it to this cross member. I could actually pull this cross member and this would come up, but it's just easier to get it like this. And these are quite crusty, such that I want to go back in here with anti-seize when I put them back together, because some poor slob is going to have to work on this thing again. And that poor slob should have it be easier rather than harder. Yeah. We wouldn't be doing this if we had put anti-seize on it the last time. Not very many of these bolts are subject to environmental, but that's definitely one of them. As I say, I'll anti-seize the shit out of that when we go back. Now, a couple other things to know. Removing this core support, there are three things attached to it. One is the hood release cable. You don't got to worry about that because it'll swing out of the way. The other is the fresh air intake, and the other is the coolant bottle. Each job is different, depending on what you're doing and how you want to do it. But you can remove the fresh air intake. This, by the way, that I'm doing is the hose clamp to this piece, which is the fresh air intake that makes its way over to the air cleaner and goes into the engine. Isn't that exciting? I knew you'd find it so. I knew you'd agree. A lot of different ways to do this. A lot of levels of taking apart you can do if you want to do. I always want to do the least. Because I'm a goddamn pro, baby. As I say, you can actually take these pieces off. See that? It's just a right angle bracket. Having those off will give the radiator a little bit more play. What the hell is blowing me up over here? Oh! I forgot one. Because I'm stupid. There's one in there. You gotta be smarter than the bolts. There we go. Who's your daddy? As you can see, the bottle is still affixed. I'll show you how this works on the backside at some point, but I'm going to take the bottle. I don't have to take it out. I believe I should be able to just take it off and move it out of my way without breaking the seal on it. It won't come all the way out because its output hose on the bottom is trapped by the bracket that this thing is on. You can remove the entire bracket. It's 4 bolts that hold the bottle to the bulkhead? Radiator core support would be the more likely term. I may end up doing that. And if I do, that would be admitting defeat, and I wouldn't show that to you on camera. But for right now, I'm just going to take the bottle bolt out. Try and move this out of the way. Such a way, if I have enough clearance, don't have to take a bunch of shit out of the way. That should give me enough. Oh God, oh the humanity, oh run for your lives. Okay, let's talk about our purposes. As you can see, the core is out, and I've just put it up here. You could take it all the way out. The hood hinge comes off with these 3 bolts, and they take the cable off, but whatever. I have enough room, I think, to get this out of here pretty easily. I don't know, I may live to eat my words. Nonetheless, what you're seeing here, this is the fan module, and it is clipped into the sides of the radiator, and I don't know if you can hear that clearance, but that's what's bad. That fan is bad, and it's vibrating as it spins, and it's making horrible noises and such. So what we're going to do is move the electrical out of the way. Each fan has a duplicate of a relay and a big green power resistor, and the plug that goes into the fan itself. Same thing on the other fan. And that is it. There are a few things that are clipped Christmas tree fastener to the front of the fan. You figure all this out, but this piece just pops out. This hose, which comes from the bottle. And I believe I can just move this out of the way enough where I won't have to deal with it and I won't have to disconnect it because I don't want to bathe. I already took a shower today. I don't want to take a second one in coolant. Let's see how we get from here. Okay, so the general gimmick, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to show this to you, but you're going to get the general idea. Here's your tool. I call it a screwdriver. There's your light. And I'm working on, of those three things I mentioned, the relay, the fan resistors, and then the plug for the fan itself. These, in theory, they come out by hand. You squeeze and pull. Will you get it? Or be called a liar. But when that doesn't work, you'll use a screwdriver to squeeze. Similar story with the relay. There's a side thing that you squeeze, and that allows you to pull it out and release it. And these things are finicky, and you got to fight with them, but it is the way of things. But this stuff is all about finicky electrical connectors that fight. You want to be delicate with this stuff because you're putting it back into the new shit that's going to come in. So it's not like you want to destroy it. And what you don't want to do is create problems where none existed before. This here is called a panel tool. Harbor Freight, very cheap. Usually sell them in a pack with some different shapes. The idea is you use it to get out Christmas tree fasteners and other stuff like that. There'll be a lot of stuff like that here because a lot of the wiring is attached at the, what am I trying to say? At the fan shroud. So a panel tool will be your friend. As a matter of fact, it would almost be required. This here tool is called a pick. You see why? It's just a bent little stick, and it can be very helpful in getting to stuff that you can't get to. There we go. You can see what I was doing. Can you see? What I was doing was getting in here with the pick and pulling that up. That's how this one releases. I don't know if you can see because I'm behind the camera, but I'm going to release this so that that stays intact and I can take it off and put it on the new radiator and hopefully preserve it, because you can go to a parts store and try and find these, but you spend the fucking rest of your life trying to find stuff. There's also a little clasp down here. This thing that I'm moving is the fan module, so you can see that it clips down there. All right, unsure how I'm going to show you how I do this. Well, maybe I can. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. See the way this works? This is a slot that comes out of the side of the radiator, and there's a tang on the fan module, and the way you release that is you kind of get in there and do that. When I do that, if I were to put wedge something in there like that, I bet she'll come up as I hold the other one in. But the problem is, as you can see, there's also one below it that does the same thing. But in theory, the fan modules are gravity fed, and also of a note, once you do that, when you push that back, then she really releases. See how that worked? It's out on both sides. Look at that demonstration, right? Can I do it the same on the other side? Which I may have to get a shorter tool. First time I've said that in my whole life. Push this in here. All right. Trying to get this to release. I'm trying to do good camera work and do all this with one hand. Look at that. Look at him go. And is it down on the bottom? Can you see it on the bottom as well? I bet it is. I bet she'll come. Look at that. Oh my God. Now, the rest of it is where it gets tricky. Okay, the rest of this is where it gets tricky, where you're probably going to see me struggle. It's out of the channels now, and it has to come up, which you can do, and it has to tip this way because it's trapped by this radiator hose. It's also trapped by this radiator hose, and it can't puncture the radiator itself. So this becomes somewhat of a finagle, and frankly, I don't know how to describe what I'm going to do other than, hey, I'm just going to do it. Let's see, get it out of here easily. I drop it down a little bit is the first step. And as I come up, I'm trying to keep it clear of all the shit it's going to wind up on, which is lots. This is where you can see that it may be easier to bring it out from the bottom, but not necessarily. And every time I do this, I have to reinvent this method, getting it to move, because it's going to crash on all kinds of stuff on its way out. There's not much room in there. However, I should point out that you can just pick up the radiator and move it. Nothing is holding the radiator in right now, basically, except the hoses and such. But if you were to have to pick this up and move it around, you certainly could. Or, by the way, it is tradition to curse the vehicle in the feminine. Tradition dating back from sailing ships in days of yore. So when it's fighting with me, I'll be like, "Suck it up, you dirty whore," or "Come on, you bitch." You would have to curse it in the feminine to keep that tradition alive, not because you believe that ships are female, which they are. This is very interesting if you're interested in things. These are the fan resistors, and what they do is they limit current to the fan because it's still 12 volts, but these things can draw a shit ton of current, which would stress wiring and whatever, so they resist it. They limit the current. But you see how this is cracked? It's a big-ass ceramic resistor. This one's not necessarily bad, but eventually they crack all the way. Same thing going on up on this one. Is deterioration here. Why does it do that? Well, I assume heat. But as the fan motor becomes less efficient, it draws more current to do the same job. It gets hotter and hotter, increases the resistance, stresses the resistor. When that pops, you'll have a code for it. But this one was not coding because the fan was just noisy. As opposed to, look at that. But while we're here, this is what the fan module looks like when it comes out. These are the two plugs for the resistors I mentioned. Power in on one side. These two plugs, by the way, there's a different style of plug for each of the two fan motors. And these are the relays, one here, and the other one appears to be left behind the vehicle, but it would clip on. See this little tang, the resistor, the relay. You see how that works. You're a smart hooky. And you see the remnants of a couple wired Christmas trees, and you see the hose, the way that one of the primary hoses is attached to this, which works like that, and then clicks in there, and the way you release is you pry in between it with a screwdriver and it comes out. Common on this vehicle and many others. Other couple of wire routing things. So that, kids, is your fan module. And now I shall show you the replacement. All right, you goddamn bastards, I'm back with my parts. This is the fan module as it comes. I buy these from Rock Auto, as you can see by the sticker. No shame in that. This is made by a company called TYC. No idea what that means or stands for, where they are, what part of Slobovia they live in. But I've had good experience with these, and they're very cheap. $170 bucks, something like that. Depends on the day, I suppose. Ooh, Rock Auto magnet. All right. Do this so I don't have to circumcise myself. Not so much to go around, and I don't want to trim any more off. Okay, here's your module. You can see that it comes with the resistors, or I'm sorry, the relays already installed. The resistors are already installed, as you see around that side. Isn't that nice? Sexy bitches. You will see here the difference in plug style. That would be the passenger side one, and this was the driver side one that I had to go underneath for. You can see how it has there are different styles. And what's ironic about this turd, by the way, it has a sticker that says, "Keep hands clear. Caution," I says. What bothers me about this to a certain extent is that we could be replacing just fans when they go bad, and then this whole thing would be easier and cheaper. But the problem is, the way the fan bolts in is you would undo these 3 bolts and the fan comes out, but it comes out to the radiator side. So you would have to take the module out anyway. It would be nice if these bolts were studs or something and you could just unbolt a fan and bolt another one in. Many vehicles are like that, but this isn't so bad. You'll also notice on your brand spanking new fan shroud, hole, those are for your Christmas trees. which I'll try and transfer over before I put it in, which I can do just by looking at the other one and moving them one at a time. Then I can't fuck it up no matter how hard I try. I would be taking that off and putting it there, and then I'd be going around. I'd be looking for these two. I have replacements for those. Same there. And these three are your most important ones because they hold this one coolant hose, and that coolant hose will fall into your catalytic converter in the front and melt and explode, and steam and fire and yelling and gnashing of teeth, and you don't want that shit. Hot tip for you kids, rather than yank these out from this side like some kind of goddamn savage, what you might want to try and do is squeeze them with your fancy tool from the back side and get them to release, and that way you can preserve them as I was able to preserve that one. They're not super important. You'd find to do something with zip ties, but it's nice to have. Okay, kids. Well, this is the moment of truth. Whether the fat man gets it or he doesn't. I have prepped my fan shroud to go back in. I have put some Christmas trees on it, and I have put all my hoses on it. And now I have to decide how to put this in here, which is going to go like this, because this is clearly the top, because that's that channel that holds this little rubber hose on. So here's where I show you just how smart I am about getting this thing back in without destroying anything, and most importantly, without gouging the fins of the radiator, which is now exposed. And you can get very frustrated as this goes down in here, as it gets hung up on every little fucking thing and fights you every little fucking way. Cool thing. Will not describe me as I win this battle, emerge victorious. Try. Just pushing the various stuffs out of the way as it goes in. Trying. Gonna need to clear this hose. I suppose I could go at it even deeper. Put it in deep, bitches. Oh, there it goes. Oops. Surprise. Wiring. Okay. Who's your fucking daddy? I am. Although I'm not getting anything for Christmas. I don't want to be your daddy, I just want to be your friend with benefits. There you go. That's how you like it. We are on the right where we need to be. And now, with the Price is Right flip, this beautiful radiator shroud, think, they're locked in. And as the old men like myself say, that ain't going nowhere. So I can put this back. And of course, the reassembly is kind of a post-coital mop-up, where there may be some cuddling, or there may be some cuddling, or one of us may just demand a sandwich, and the other one may roll over and go back to bed. One of us may not have woken up at all, but that's my kink. Okay, that's back. Here is our almost totally free wiring bundle, which would contain the passenger side fan, resistors, and relay, which is already on here, but I'm going to disconnect this and replace it because I'd rather use the new relay. And our driver's side resistors, relay, and power module. Let's do that. Maybe I can show you. See this? The way the relay comes out is a squeeze here that releases a tang, and then it just pops out. And it's just a 4-pin relay like we've had since Ben Franklin was horny. All right, so if you've replaced the fan module and the fans still aren't coming on, it behooves you to check the fuses. Turns out there's a fuse for each fan, the blue ones here in the underhood fuse box, F7 and F6. Check them or swap them side to side and see if the fans start working again. All right, I can show you the rest, but I don't want to. I say I can show you the rest, but I don't want to. I want to go towel off, because I did that in record time. I believe a skilled mechanic could do that. I say I believe a skilled mechanic could do that in maybe my hair. An hour. I might have been doing this for 45 minutes, but I do a lot of these, so there you go. Oh, I love this shirt. All right, see you later, fuckers. Love you.